Alright, now, very quickly, for this episode I'm going to need to go outside and film something with my shitty little phone camera, so you guys, you're coming with me. Come on. This beautiful little school is Morwell Park Primary School, here in Morwell, Victoria. I was lucky enough to be at this school for 2 weeks as part of a work experience program that runs in Australian secondary schools. Over the 2 weeks that I spent here at this school doing work experience and teaching these children, something very strange happened. One day a man came into the school and it turned out that he was a minister from a place called Access Ministries, and it was his job to undertake the religious instruction of the students of this primary school. I was very surprised because I didn't think that that kind of thing went on anymore. And I was even more surprised when, before he even began talking, 3 students were kicked out of the classroom. These 3 students were very intelligent, very inquisitive, and I couldn't understand why these 3 children, these 3 beautiful young children, had been kicked out of their classroom at the whim of a religious maniac. I was surprised because in my naivety I thought that segregation just didn't happen in public schools anymore, particularly not along religious grounds. But these 3 beautiful and inquisitive young children were told to get out of the classroom, while the Christian minister evangelised to the rest of the class. Of course, I shouldn't have been surprised at all, especially not when Access Ministries is right next door to this school in the form of that little church right over there. These days, this quiet old building that used to be full of God's music is for sale. It was very cold out there today, and I'm sorry for all the wind that came through on the camera phone there, but you get the idea. It's a very small school next to a very small church. Now, that church was part of a group called Christian Community Churches in Victoria, and it's a network of churches right throughout the state. But it's a little bit bigger than that, because Christian Community Churches in Victoria is actually a subgroup of a larger group called Christian Community Churches in Australia. And the reason that that's important is because it's an arm of Access Ministries. Alright, now I've got on the screen next to me, I've got a list of the churches that support Access Ministries. And those churches are the Anglican Church, Australian Christian Churches, part of Assemblies of God churches in Australia, the Baptist Union of Australia, the Christian Brethren Fellowships in Victoria, the Christian Reformed Churches of Australia, CRC Churches International, Churches of Christ in Australia, Lutheran Church in Australia, Presbyterian Church of Australia, the Salvation Army, Uniting Church in Australia, and the Wesleyan Methodist Church of Australia. I'm going to supply a link to the page that I was just reading off in the comments for this video. If you were to go to that page and click on the link Christian Brethren Fellowships in Victoria, you'd be redirected to the page for Christian Community Churches in Victoria. Okay, so those 12 denominations make up Access Ministries, and Access Ministries has a contract with the Victorian Government to supply not only religious education but also chaplaincy to children within the public school system. Access Ministries has been in the media a lot lately, and similar organisations right across the country are in the media at the moment because parents are fighting against this kind of evangelical education within what should be the secular public school system. Access Ministries, on the other hand, is defending themselves on the basis that they're not an evangelical organisation. Now, just to refresh, an evangelical organisation is one that seeks to convert a population to the religion of the evangelical organisation. Okay, so now that we've got all that, is Access Ministries an evangelical organisation? Well, let me just have a quick look at their website here. Right here, hidden away at the bottom of a wall of text on the website, is the sentence, "Our vision is to reach every student in Victoria with the gospel. Join the vision and help us transform this nation for God." Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not textbook evangelism, I don't know what is. Okay, so recap. What we've got is an evangelical organisation that's not an evangelical organisation, and it's passing on Christian knowledge to the students within the public school system, particularly in Victoria. So, why is this a bad thing, and why am I a little bit pissed off about it? Well, it's a bad thing because pressing one's religion onto another person, especially a young child who doesn't know any better, is patently evil. We have another word for that. We call it brainwashing. But it's also interesting that Access Ministries has a contract with the Victorian Government to evangelise to these young children. And it's interesting because religious education isn't even part of the official curriculum. So what we've got is taxpayers funding a public school system that has a set curriculum, and we have an evangelical group interrupting that taxpayer-funded curriculum to teach children about religion. Isn't that taxpayer-funded brainwashing? And isn't that evil? If you must teach religion in the public school system, teach it at the secondary school level, teach it with philosophy, and teach it in the broadest aspect possible. Teach all religions, not just Christianity. Any organisation that tries to teach something that science or the evidence proves is demonstrably false, then that organisation should be penalised in the strictest possible way. Especially if they're teaching falsehoods and evident falsehoods to primary school children between the ages of 5 to 11. Keep secular schools secular and teach the truth.